Hello everyone and welcome back here at VR to a show live at XPRIMM TV dedicated to reinsurance this time. A debate under the frame and circumstances of intensified catastrophic events in the Asia-Pacific area. The earthquake in Japan seems to hurry the process of reinsurance market coming out of a long-lasting soft period. Even if we talk about different contexts compared to the post-Katrina period, and even if initial estimates show that damages will not have the same impact upon the market, the perception that the frequency of natural catastrophes intensified could be a reason to push up the prices. So we are talking about reinsurance at its best with our guests for today, Mrs. Alexandra Stor, Vice President Client Market Swiss Re Europe. Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Guy Hudson, partner at GLT Re. Hello.
Hello.
And our colleague Alexandru Ciuncan, General Secretary of Insurance Market Promotion Association. So, Mr. Hudson, first topic, will we see any changes in the pricing of Cat XL program because of the recent events?
Thank you, Alex. It's nice to be here again at the 14th edition of the FIAR conference. And it's a very interesting question, and I think I have an answer for you. I think there may be change. Certainly, every indication is that the effect of the catastrophes in the first quarter are having an impact on the renewals in the US and the Japanese market. The question as to whether that will be transferred onto the international stage, and more specifically Central and Eastern Europe, is a very interesting question. Certainly if you ask the clients in the region, they'll say, why should we have to have a change in pricing due to events that happen so far away? But on the other hand, reinsurers would say this is a business of spreading of loss, it's a question of large numbers, and that one cannot escape the effect that these losses have had on the capital of companies. Contrary to that, however, there are also other factors at work, and one of which is with the new release of various catastrophe modelling outputs, there is increasing pressure on reinsurers to diversify where they're writing the business. And so it may well be that contrary to the pressure from the catastrophes that have occurred, is the pressure in the different direction from the companies that want to diversify their book and who may be coming to Romania and elsewhere for the first time. So I think that these two may perform some sort of balance. There does seem to be still an excess of capital in the market. I think maybe the reinsurers, rather than concentrate on the catastrophe business in Central and East Europe, might try and diversify into other lines of business to get the diversification that way. So I haven't answered your question, but I would say that there is intense pressure to raise prices, and there's also intense pressure to decrease prices.
Mrs. Stor?
Yeah, well, actually, it is really the fact that despite these many events we've already faced during the first quarter of the year, the capacity in the reinsurance companies is still high. And therefore, I think for the time being, it is still not so obvious that the prices will decrease, but we still have to await what the hurricane season in the US how this will look like, and then there might be a chance to change the prices. Now, from Swiss Re perspective, although we also have suffered a lot of losses in the first quarter, we have still a very strong capital position, and this might also be due to the mentioned diversification effects. And talking about diversification, I definitely agree with Guy that this gives additional pressure on the prices, although we also have experiences in the past years. It was a huge competition in the market, and this had a big pressure on the prices because the Central Eastern European country is not such a peak scenario worldwide. Therefore, the reinsurers are entering into this market, and this means a significant pressure on the prices.
Do you feel a change in the natural catastrophe coverage which insurance companies from Central and Eastern Europe are buying in the last year or so?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you refer to the capacity, then we definitely feel that there is a higher demand of higher capacity required in the natural catastrophe line of business. This might be driven due to Solvency II, because there we have a higher required capital for such events, such peak losses. And if you refer on the prices, then I think the same accounts that I described before.
What about the prices, Mr. Hudson?
Well, as I said earlier, I think that there is quite some pressure on the pricing, especially since for the medium-sized reinsurers, the number of opportunities may be decreasing due to the fact that there is a consolidation in the market, that the larger regional insurers are getting bigger, they're retaining more in many cases, and they are identifying strong partners with whom they are trading. And this means that the very good companies that are not quite so large are seeing their opportunities restricted in some way. So that when a program of catastrophe reinsurance from a medium-sized company becomes available to them, they are that much more attracted to it because of the limited or the more limited number of opportunities they may have. So I think again that will add to the pricing strain. Having said that, of course, there's always got to be common sense and good business practice with regard to the business that you're writing. And equally, reinsurers are just as much having to face the issues of solvency and Solvency II as the direct insurers.
Could you also please name the three main trends which affect the insurance and reinsurance markets in Central and Eastern Europe, for example?
The three main trends in terms of reinsurance?
Yeah.
Well, again, I would say that the largest trend is the consolidation. For me, I think hardly a day goes by without another purchase. Maybe this has slowed down a little bit because of the financial crisis, but in terms of being able to grow, it is perhaps still the most desirable way of obtaining insurance growth. I think also the fact that reinsurers are looking for new products to diversify their own portfolio, I think that is an important trend. I think something else which maybe is not so much a trend but will affect reinsurance to an extent is the freedom of services, at least for that part of Central and Eastern Europe which is within the European Union. I think that we will see more direct involvement from companies which are registered with the local supervisory authority but are not actually present here, selling their products on a passported basis. And that will affect the business on an insurance basis, but also may lead to possibilities of reinsurance for the medium-sized or even indeed the bigger reinsurers from a different sort of perspective. And that, of course, in itself, with the freedom of services, if there is a take-up on this type of business, would affect the original pricing too.
Could this pose a potential risk for a global reinsurance company such as Swiss Re? For example, the fact that local risks are being, in Romania, for example, or in any other country, are being transferred to various regions under the Freedom of Services Act?
Well, from a technical point of view, I would say as long as we have the full transparency, then it is okay for us.
Okay.
We should know what is the client doing, in which area, and also what is also important is, does he take care on the local specialties?
Okay.
Because this might also differ from country to country. And as long as this is guaranteed, we do not face any problems. Maybe it makes a reinsurance treaty a bit more complicated, but from technical point of view, it's still
So
possible.
it works fine. But Mr. Hudson mentioned earlier that more and more local companies are being bought by international or regional insurance groups. Is this in your favor as a global reinsurer? Is this, does this pose any threat to your business?
I would say, well, I cannot say whether it is in favor or less in favor. I would say dealing with a local insurance company or dealing with a insurance group, it's simply two pairs of shoes. So each of them have its own has its challenges, and you have different needs. Every client is different, and yeah, I would say it makes our job also much more interesting.
The same question. Any comment on that, Mr. Hudson?
No, I'd agree with Alexandra. I think that there is enough opportunity for both types of insurance entity in the region. I think, however, the smaller entities or the medium-sized entities will have to be more specialist, perhaps, in certain areas. I think the point about transparency that Alexandra mentioned is absolutely imperative. Unless you understand the business well and what they're doing, then you could have some nasty surprises. It has been known in other parts of the world to get, let's say, a Peruvian loss from a US insurance company or such like without full knowledge. So it is, you have to be extremely careful. I think what we might see is one or two of the larger insurers, and in fact we have already seen one or two of the larger insurers from Central and Eastern Europe saying anything that the Austrians or the French can do, we can do just as well, and start to transfer their know-how and knowledge from Central and Eastern Europe to Western Europe. And there's an actual example in Romania itself of a company that is expanding. And a Bulgarian company which has started to set up offices within the region. So maybe that is something that will continue.
Now, going back to natural catastrophes, as you well know, Romania has set up a mandatory household insurance pool, which is managed by PAID, basically a local insurance company. You have been previously, Mr. Hudson, involved in parts of the reinsurance program of this company. Could you please comment upon the development of the whole scheme, of the whole project up until now?
What I can say, Alex, is I was involved in the setting up of PAID with regard to consultancy work from the World Bank, which was very exciting and very interesting. And as everyone knows now, PAID exists and is trading and is selling policies and expanding. As we heard this morning, Romania is the most exposed country by population to earthquake in the whole of Europe, and this compulsory product is being sold throughout the country and will lead to more and more catastrophe reinsurance purchase being required.
This is good for you, right? For both of you, in fact.
What I could say is that it is good for the Romanian population that they can understand the concept of insurance. It is good for the reinsurance community because it increases the need for the product that we sell. Whether it is good for Swiss Re or for JLT Re as a broker will depend on many things.
Could you comment upon the development of the Romanian mandatory household insurance scheme? How do you feel about the whole concept?
Well, in general, we very much appreciate that a country like Romania has implemented this kind of mandatory household insurance. And we also support this this deal and this initiative, and we hope also that there will be side effects to other countries and that they also will try to develop and implement such a kind of national scheme. We think this is important for a country itself in order to manage their own risks. And of course for us reinsurers it's also important because it means new business. And especially for Romania, we see there is a lot of capacity, a lot of potential of insured volume there. And yeah, nevertheless, I think now at this stage, we still have some uncertainties in the law, in the underlying law. And if we want to have a sustainable solution, we would have to adopt some of the parts of the law.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And because, yes,
Sorry,
please?
Alex, can I just add to that,
Mm-hmm.
what Alexandra was saying, that unfortunately this year we don't have present here at FIA I think your expression actually, Alex, was the father of the catastrophe insurance program, Eugene Grenko, the lead insurance specialist at the World Bank. But as I know, and I'm sure you know, he is still working very heavily for the creation of a regional catastrophe pool,
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Central European reinsurance facility, to try and invigorate this whole process of insurance penetration and protection for people in areas where the insurance penetration is low.
I can only wonder who is the mother if Eugene Gorenko is the father, you know, probably the Romanian government.
Yeah.
But we'll see for the future. But because we are coming closer and closer to the end of our talk show, would you like to send a message to the CE and especially Romanian insurance companies? Mrs. Stor, please.
Well, you asked for a strategic outlook, for instance, and I would like to emphasize that we as Swiss Re, we would like to be as close as possible to our clients, to understand as best as possible their needs, and then to offer the most efficient reinsurance solution. And I hope that we will be able to deliver this. This is our challenge for the next year. And regarding to FIA, I think my personal goal would be being the next most dynamic reinsurer of the year.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Guy?
Well, Alex, I think in terms of a message to the Romanian insurance community, or companies at least, I think it would be that I certainly understand that the financial crisis has affected sales, it's affected the way people buy insurance. The question of choice is becoming ever more important for buyers of insurance products. And I think we'll see that choice will also become even more important for insurance companies when they look for reinsurance. And in that respect, I hope that now that I'm at Chelsea Re, I'll be able to give a good choice to those companies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being here with us, and till our next show. Have a nice afternoon.